With my titles, I have always wanted to show the other side of pageantry and my mental health journey. Unfortunately, that journey deals with some pretty heavy topics. For this Talks from the Trenches, I wanted to talk with my parents about my journeys both with mental health and pageantry. Because of that, we will be talking about suicide, suicidal thoughts, and suicide attempts. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health, help is available. Call the suicide hotline at 988 if you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey y'all, it's Megan McCaffin, your Miss Wildflower volunteer, and on this episode of Behind The Sash, we are doing something very special. For World Mental Health Day, we are doing a very special Talks from the Trenches with my parents.
Hi.
Hi. So this is Carla, this is my mom, and Jason, my stepdad. So we have some questions for y'all. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So we're going to start with some easy ones because a lot of these are pretty juicy.
Is that what you call it?
That's what we're calling it, to be nice, okay?
Okay. Your show.
Dang right it is. It's my show. Alright. So, what do you think about me competing in pageants and my local titles?
I honestly didn't think it was something that you would ever do, just because it wasn't in our wheelhouse, not because you can't do it. But it's been such a growing experience for you, like the confidence that you've gotten from competing and the friends that you've made. Is just watching all of that has been amazing.
Yeah. I'll jump on that one too. I think that once you stepped off of the box and into the big pool of life, this opened up a lot of doors and brought out your real personality versus what was boxed in all that time. So.
Yeah, for sure. I find it really interesting that you were like, that's not your wheelhouse, but I was literally just talking with Dad, and he was saying, like, you did not wear anything but dresses until you were 5.
Yeah, but
I would not wear pants at all. You had to fight with me to put me in tights.
There's stories about this.
There is.
Oh, there is. Oh, I know there is. I know there is. You've given me crap for it.
But wearing dresses isn't what pageants is about.
That's true.
But, I mean, I love the pretty dresses, don't get me wrong.
Oh, I love the dresses.
More so, like, you know, in dance and things like that. Like, you guys would get to a certain level, and it just wasn't in your...
Yeah, well, because everyone else was so freaking competitive about it. It wasn't fun anymore because everyone was like preparing for like a national level, and I'm just like, I'm just here to have fun and dance.
Right.
So that was
me too.
You too.
Yep.
I can imagine you in like one of those sparkly pink tutus.
Oh, I have pictures.
Don't think it hasn't happened.
Why have I not seen these?
This is a mental health thing, right?
You've seen me compete for 2 years. You have seen me with my 2 local titles, with the SERP project of mental health education. What have been your thoughts about my SERP project and my continued involvement with doing mental health education stuff?
I think that mental health is something near and dear to you, and I have really admired the way that you have gone out into the community and reached out to other organizations to partner with them. The places like the Suicide Out of the Darkness Walk, getting involved on campus. I think that it's really helped you grow.
I would agree with that.
You'd agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that she hit all the high points on it, and I think that it's definitely opened different doors for you for not only furthering your cause, but helping other people's causes as well, which has broadened your horizon as well.
Yeah, for sure. So what was y'all's reaction when I first initially said I wanted to be in this Montana Volunteer? Because you were the one who introduced me to it because you were talking with Terry.
I was all for it.
You were all for it?
Yeah, I knew you'd do well in whatever you did. You just needed a boot to get it done.
That's fair.
I was excited for you. I thought it was something new and something different, and I knew that it would open some doors and get you to meet some people and stuff and interact with some people that you might not have otherwise.
Yeah. I remember I talked with you for I think about like 3 hours while I was working the summers at the front desk, and I was back there. It was the Yellowstone desk. I remember very specifically. It was the Yellowstone desk, and I was back there talking with y'all's. It was like 4, no, it wasn't 4 a.m.
Could have been.
It could have been. I worked 4 a.m. shifts,
Yes.
but it wasn't 4 a.m. But I remember very vividly talking to you about this, and I was like, I don't know.
Do you feel like I encouraged you to do it?
Yeah.
Do you think that you would have done it without us?
Oh, absolutely not. I had no idea it was even. Well, to be fair, when y'all's introduced me to it, it was literally only the second year of them doing it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't have known about it anyway. I had no idea about MBA. Okay, so now we're going into some. I'll ease you in, but
Thanks.
a lot of them are kind of juicy. Ooh, this is a good one to start with. Okay, when do you remember the first time I started showing symptoms of like negative mental health?
Middle school.
Middle school?
I really didn't recognize a lot of the symptoms, so I think it took me a lot longer to actually acknowledge what was going on than it is today. I think I know a lot more just working through it with you than I did at the time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and what was like going through your head when I began to ask you to like take me into the hospital, where I was like practically begging you at some points to like take me into the psych ward? Because
Yeah, as a mom, that it's heartbreaking, and it's hard to, because once you get into the psych ward, you're introduced and you're around other people, and I didn't know if that was the best place for you to get help. And I also didn't want to acknowledge to myself that I couldn't be the one to help you. So I think there was a lot of my own feelings that go along with that, and just, yeah, like I wanted to help you, and I didn't know that going to a hospital was going to get you what you needed.
Okay.
And I also didn't want to believe that you would actually commit suicide or do something drastic. I felt like you had a strong enough foundation, but you know, it is a possibility, and it's the reason that we finally went is because you don't want to take that chance. Like, even if I don't believe that you would actually go through with it, like I wasn't willing to take the chance that it would happen.
Well, and like going off of that, like what was your initial reaction to me telling you that I was harming myself and doing
Sadness.
Sadness.
You know, I've brought this beautiful, beautiful girl into the world at that point. Thinking that anything would harm her, much less herself, was really just made me sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've kind of already covered this, but what would you say like kind of changed between me and Emily getting diagnosed? Because we had, I don't want to say we had similar, but we had similar-ish timelines. We both kind of started showing it in like middle school. Like, what would you say changed in those 2 years-ish in between us?
I'd say that you, because you'd already gone through it and you were advocating for your sister. I think that's what changed.
I really was. I was constantly on your butt. I was like, did you make the appointment? Did you make the appointment?
Yeah, so I think, you know, you recognize the symptoms because you had just gone through it. But you have to remember that my generation growing up didn't talk about this stuff. We didn't talk about mental health like you guys do today. And a lot of what I thought you were going through, because was stuff that I thought was normal. Like, I went through it. Like, I had people bully me in middle school and say things and things like that. And, you know, it was a different generation where it was like, you suck it up and you deal with it. And mental health is a different ball of wax now than it was back then. So for me, like, trying to help you through it was just trying to parent you through it, not necessarily the medical side of it, but the parenting side of it.
You got to remember that there's only a difference of 100 years of our parents' parenting them, and it was never talked about at all. And then our parents came around and parented us, and it loosened up a little bit, but it was nothing like it is today.
Yeah.
So it was, you just need to go to your room and cry it out or whatever you got to do. It wasn't something that was, you need help. It was, you need to work this stuff out and then come out and see me when you're ready.
Yeah.
So.
Well, would you say that also kind of affected your views like growing up in rural spaces? And you grew up moving around all the time, so you never really had a set home or a set school.
Right.
And you grew up
I was in Muscle Shell and Milestone for the most time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so teeny tiny itty bitty rural spots.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say that affected how you both kind of dealt with not only my mental health for you, but also you like expressed to me a couple of times where we have like similar issues, different blood?
Correct.
So would you say that kind of affected how you dealt with it yourselves as well through rural space?
We didn't really have a choice. Yeah, so I mean, it being, you know, we rode a school bus, well, I rode a school bus 36 miles to school every morning and 36 miles back. And you dealt with all that stuff on the bus unless somebody was picking on you. And you tried to get in your sleep and you tried to get your homework done, because when you got home, you were working. And you worked until well after dark. So I think that both of our parents probably had if we keep you busy doing something else, you're not going to have time to worry about what's on your mind.
So, kind of jumping off of that a little bit, Jason, like I said earlier, you also kind of struggle with your mental health and like dealing with that stuff. And I know a lot that also comes from you being a veteran and serving in the Marines.
Correct.
And with the Marines, how has it affected you, like seeing your daughters deal with a similar situation like me and Emily, and also Jess and
Everybody's got their own crap in the world, right? So, and it's how you deal with it that is the important part. So with my personal stuff, stemming primarily from the Marine Corps versus when I was actually growing up, it was different. Different is how I have to word that, because it's not the same identical problems, although they can all be lumped into the same, you know,
medical
overall
thing.
mental health shell, right? But the stuff that I've seen and done, nobody else, you guys will never experience that, ever. So, and that's something that I have to deal with. So it's entirely different, but it's still the same, because we both think less of ourselves on a daily basis sometimes. And so as long as it's being addressed and being taken care of properly, I think that everything is manageable.
So this is all kind of lumped together. Like, what was it like marrying into this?
I'll tell you the best part about marrying into it was I got 2 bonus daughters out of the deal. And I don't not love you guys just as much as I love my bio daughters, right? So you're all on an equal playing field to me. But you all got your shit. I mean, that's just is what it is. So every one of you is different. Every one of you has high points and low points. And I knew that coming in, and therefore it wasn't hidden from me. So to answer your question more directly, I knew what I was getting into when I got into it. And I think that, you and I get each other more so than a lot of other bonus dads and bonus daughters because of our commonalities of everything.
Well, because I remember, like, even when we're on vacation, there's always just, like, a commonality theme where it's usually you. One of you two is always like, did everybody take their drugs? Because we all need our drugs to function. We've got pain meds, we got anxiety meds, we got depression meds. Everybody needs to take their drugs before we leave the hotel room.
Yeah, because one person can ruin the whole day.
Oh, yes. Awesome. So, Mom, when I'm having a rough time and I feel like I might harm myself, like even going into my adult life, especially like my freshman and sophomore year of college, I tend to call you because you tend to talk me down off a cliff. And it's also like just kind of calming. And Jason, you're usually on the other end of the phone too, because you're just like kind of sitting there chilling, and you'll pipe in sometimes. But what kind of goes through your head when I call you and I am like usually bawling my eyes out?
I am so very thankful that we have the relationship that you feel like you can talk to me. I am more than happy to take those calls and to talk with you and be that person for you. I'm very thankful that I am the person that you call.
I'm thankful I'm able to call you, because it honestly like does help a lot when I'm just able to call you and not having any judgment coming from the other side of the phone when I'm talking about that is so amazing.
I don't always know what to say, and I think I've gotten pretty good about saying, do you need me to help you or do you need me to listen?
Yeah.
Do you need,
Yeah. I usually, sometimes Emily will call me with like a similar thing, so I always ask her, I'm like, do you need an ear or advice?
Right.
Like, that's just, that's the tone right away. Honestly, I think that's like a great thing to do with somebody who's struggling with their mental health, just to be like, because not everyone wants you to fix it. Sometimes they just need to talk it out.
Right.
So if you could do anything different, would you do it? And if you could, what would you do?
I think just if I could have recognized the signs earlier, I would have gotten you.
Because I was asking for a while.
Yeah, and I think, everybody's memories are a little different of situations too, right? Like,
1000%. Because coming from me, and like from my memory, it was like one of these things where it's like, I didn't know what was happening, and I was really scared, and I was really confused. So getting into middle school, where I met other people who had a similar thing, and they told me what it was, and I kind of went and did some digging on my own, and I figured stuff out, and everything was saying to go talk to a doctor. But I was still a minor. I still needed you.
Right.
Or dad. I needed one of y'all's to drive me, to sign me in, to do all of that stuff. And so it felt really awful on my end, because I felt like y'all's were just ignoring it. Yeah.
I can see that. And again, I'm just, no excuse, but falling back to...
Well, it's also like, it's like, we can't change the past on it. Right. It's just like moving forward, and that's why I really wanted to do this, was to be able to like help people, because it is still a problem. Like, we're third in the nation for suicide. So that's also kind of why I wanted to do this, to hopefully help some people out with that and get us further down on the totem pole.
Yeah, it's hard to think that your child has issues, because sometimes you feel like a failure. Like, and I was going through some difficult stuff on my own at that time, but yeah, you feel like a failure, or you feel like you didn't do enough. And I'm just thankful that we did get you the help that you needed, and that you did start to get better. And now there's ups and downs with that too.
Yeah.
When you decided to stop taking your meds for a while.
Yeah.
And, at that point, you were old enough that I couldn't make you do anything.
Yeah.
Just had to be there for you and try to work through it with you.
Yeah. But kind of going back, because there was like, in my head, there was like a lot of stuff that kind of accumulated around the same time where I started having negative mental health. There was like my uncle dying, your brother dying, us moving, you and dad getting a divorce, our dog Emma passing away. It was just a lot, and I've talked to you about it a couple of times, where we were both kind of like, it kind of accumulated and got worse with the move. And you've said a couple of times that you were like, I don't know if I would have moved you guys.
Yeah, that's still true.
Yeah.
I think, I moved so much that it wasn't a huge deal for me. Mm-hmm. And I changed schools often enough that wasn't a big deal for me. I don't know. I think it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. I think that you guys gained some knowledge and gained things from that move as well. And, as parents, we do the best we can with the information we have at the time. And sometimes in retrospect, you can look back, but it doesn't really do anybody any good to look back and question the choices that you've made, because you've made them. I think it's just important to remember that wherever you are on your path, you can choose to take a different path, or change paths, or
do whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really like that perspective on it. I'm kind of the same way. Like, people ask me, like, would you change anything? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, what I went through made me who I am today. Right. It's gotten me to where I am today. It's gotten me to be able to do this, to be able to do stuff with my titles, to be able to forward, like, education on mental health. So, yeah, I don't think I would do anything different either. Okay, so this one is these last two are pretty intense. And then we'll kind of slow it down a little bit and get back and end it out on a happy note. But what was going through your head the first time I told you that I wanted to kill myself, that I wanted to die, I didn't want to be here anymore?
Disbelief. I couldn't believe that this beautiful child that I created and raised would not want to be here. That I didn't understand how that even would be a thought. Disbelief. Yeah. Sadness, obviously, and hurt, just because it hurts my mama heart to think that you were so unhappy that would go through your mind.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that's like really kind of not misrepresented, but like isn't talked about is that oftentimes it's not that I want to die, it's just that like, I don't want to be in this situation anymore. I don't want to be feeling this anymore. So death, it seems, is like the
out.
Yeah, the way out of it.
A way for it to
and then if you're already like hurting yourself or having those thoughts in your head, it's kind of difficult to be able to snap out of that really quickly.
I think it's unrealistic to think that you can turn on a dime like that with your feelings.
It's freaking impossible. If they are feelings like that, if they're that intense of feelings, yeah, it's freaking impossible. Yeah. Okay. And this is the last one. This is also like a pretty intense one. So the last time I tried to commit suicide, when I passed out in the shower, you were the one who found me. What was going through your head? What were you thinking?
Fear. I wasn't thinking.
You weren't thinking?
Just fear.
Because I remember hitting the bottom of the tub and just...
black.
Yeah. And I woke up and I saw you standing over me, and my brain immediately went to cover my wrist. And I wasn't even like that embarrassed that I was like sitting there naked as the day I was born. But at that point, my brain was just like, cover it, like mom can't see it, but you had already seen it. You could
and I
see
could
everything.
I mean, the fear was, I knew it wasn't deep enough to do any serious damage.
Yeah.
I could see that. But just fear that, if you hadn't passed out, that it could have gotten deeper, or it could have, and then just, I think your adrenaline is going so much at that point that you're not really thinking much else.
Yeah. Well, because I remember I put a towel on and you ran into your room, and Jason, you were sitting on the bed and you had kind of heard me fall. You had kind of heard everything that was going on at that point. And I remember you really wanted to take me into the hospital, which honestly is fair. Like, you just found your daughter bleeding on the bottom of the bathtub because she passed out. Like, that's a fair assumption, but I begged you not to because I had to take a test tomorrow morning. What were you two thinking? Were you just like, why is she talking about this? Why is she yelling at us about a test and begging us not to take her in? Is your adrenaline still kind of going so much you didn't even really register?
No, after the initial fear had subsided and talking it through and stuff, it's a judgment call then, right? And that's a tough thing to do as a parent. Do I trust you? Do I let you go about life? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you really want to, there's not a whole lot that I can do to stop it, right? And that's a hard thing to swallow, because I want to protect you. And the moment I knew about you, I wanted to protect you. And part of growing up and leaving home is for me to understand that I can't always protect you.
Yeah.
And I have to trust that I have given you the foundation, and I've given you the love and the support that you need to become this beautiful young woman that you are.
Yeah. Well, when I was like still a senior in high school, I was like still, just what was going through your mind? Because I remember you saying, and you were like fully ready to help mom, and you were fully ready to just like restrain me and get me in the car.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
I could have done that.
You definitely could have. There was no way.
My thing is that I would support your mother in whatever we did. So if it was choosing to take you in and you didn't want to go and it was still her choice, I would have loaded you up and you would have gone, because that's how it would have worked.
The stupidest thing is, no clue about that test. Nothing. Like, I just knew I was so concerned about it that I was ready to, like, not go into the hospital. And what made it even worse is I was, like, consistently taking my meds. So I was like, something has to be wrong. But, I mean, I feel like y'all did get me into the doctor, like, pretty
The next day.
Yeah, like, you got me into the doctor, like, really quickly. And I honestly think that was probably the best move you could have made.
I was gonna ask what you thought.
Yeah.
Like, if you thought that we made the right choice.
Yeah. I definitely think y'all's made, I don't know if there's a right or a wrong choice in that moment, because I mean, you knew I had been taking my meds regularly. You knew about all of this stuff. You had seen me go through it the first time, so I feel like you kind of had an idea. If it was as bad as you saw it, I would have said something. So I think getting me into the doctor, like, the day after was a good idea, and it turns out it was my meds. Apparently, fun fact for y'all, your antidepressants, like, your body can't build up an immunity to them, in a sense. So after, what was it, about, like,
3 years?
3 years, yeah, my antidepressants gradually stopped working until it accumulated in that point. But so we put me on different ones, and that started working immediately. So that was really, and then I just stopped taking them for like a year or so, a couple of years later. So that was
not good.
It was an experiment.
It was an experiment.
It was a disaster.
It definitely was. No, but I genuinely thought, like, I'm off to college, I'm out of, like, Billings, like, it'll be fine. It was not fine. I've made my peace with it. I'm gonna be on those drugs for the rest of my life. I've made my peace with it. It's a chemical thing. It's literally just a chemical thing in my brain. Okay, so going back to a couple of softball questions. What advice do you have for parents who are going through kind of a similar situation, either with their biological kids or with their bonus kids, like parents in your generation who maybe grew up around the same stigmas that you did? Like, what would you...
I would say don't hesitate to talk to your personal friends about it, because our friends have kids your age that are going through the identical thing, and so peer support is always my go-to on a lot of it.
Peer support and community.
Absolutely.
Mine's communication. I think keep an open line of communication. Try not to. I suppose it's hard sometimes, but don't ostracize. Don't shut down. Don't shut them out. Even if it's something that you don't understand, which I didn't understand. Just letting them talk through it and listening to them and being there for them when they call at 4 a.m.
And as a parent, don't discount your children's thoughts. So the communication, like your mom said, is not only from peer to peer, but from parents to children is important.
Listen to what they're not saying as well. Sometimes that's just as important.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. It took me a while to, like, come up to you and start talking about it with y'all. And I think one of the really, like, going back to my little sister and advocating for my little sister, I think one of the things that I started noticing immediately was just her demeanor changing. And I immediately saw that, and I was like, crap, this is happening again. And I made it a point to try to talk to her.
That's what makes detection kind of hard, because you guys hit middle school as children and you're growing and changing, and it's hard to differentiate, like, the changes because of maybe a mental health issue with just changes in life, like there's just a lot going on for kids at that point. So differentiating between what might be a mental health issue is maybe really hard.
Adolescence. Yeah.
Yep. Adolescence. Whew.
I would not send my worst enemy back to middle school. What is one thing that y'all do to improve your mental health on the day-to-day?
For me, it's gardening. I really like to get outside, sometimes even just sitting out in the sun, taking a bath, reading a book.
Yeah. Some necessary vitamin D, especially since we have storm clouds and smoke clouds all over.
I think those are the ways that I recharge the best. Just recognizing when I need to take a break, and I'm not always great at that either.
Nope.
So hobbies are definitely a thing. I unfortunately have made my hobbies my work as well. So, but they say if you can't enjoy your job, there's no sense in doing it. So hobbies are always a good thing as far as that goes.
What do you do?
What do I do?
Mm-hmm. To improve your mental health. What are your...
You're interviewing me now.
Why not?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
That's
We're
actually,
here.
yeah. I would say one thing I do is I will just sit and take a breather, is what I called it. Like, I just sit there and I just shut up my mind, which is hard to do sometimes.
I was going to say, I'm not able to do that.
No, I fully know. I just, like,
Your Uncle Craig used to say that.
What?
You just turn your mind off. I'm like,
oh.
You what?
It's so much easier for boys than it is for girls. What do you think about? Nothing. Well, no, really, what do you think about?
Literally
nothing right now.
Yeah, I definitely say, like, take a breather, kind of shut my mind off as best as I can. Usually, this is going to just show how much of a freaking nerd I am. I just imagine, like, a little secret garden in my mind, and I just go into that secret garden, I slam that door hard, and I lock it, and I put the key in my pocket, and I sit there and I take a couple of breathers. Oh yeah, my brain goes in a lot of different ways. Everyone says, like, do you have all your ducks in a row? And I'm like, I don't have ducks, I have chipmunks all completing side quests. I have so much crap going on in my brain at all times that there are times where I just need to sit there and I just close my eyes and I take a couple of breathers. If it's really bad and I have a headache, I'll take some Advil.
If you had to choose one thing or one positive that has come from you doing Miss Montana Volunteer, what would it be?
Probably my confidence, honestly. I am a lot more sure of myself. I'm a lot more, like, I don't know if assertive is the right word.
Self-aware.
Self-aware, that's a better word.
Do you think that confidence has improved your mental health?
I feel like it has. I feel like just growing my confidence, and even, like, if I'm about to do something kind of hard or kind of challenging, there are times where I will just be like, Megan, you walked on a stage in a swimsuit specifically to be judged by other people you did not know.
Right.
This is a cakewalk.
There you go.
There you go.
So I definitely feel like it has helped in that regard. And then, last question, what is one mantra that you live by? It can be mental health related, it cannot be mental health related. Just one mantra that you kind of just live by.
I know. It was from a movie, and it's, let me think on it, because I'm forgetting what it is.
It better not be, you can't handle the truth.
No, it's, everything will be okay in the end, and if it's not okay, it's not the end.
I like that. I feel like
There
that's a
you go.
good one. What about you, Jason?
Goodness.
You're not a mantra guy.
I'm not a mantra guy.
No.
I'm here to help people. That's what I do.
I'll get it.
Yeah. Tomorrow's another day. Get up and try again.
Yeah. I like that.
Yep.
All right.
And call your mom.
Yeah.
Call your mothers. Thank you guys for sitting down with me. I know, like I said, I know it's like a bit of a rough topic, but I genuinely think that hearing from other parents is really important, because I can only speak to so many people. I can only speak to so many generations, that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate y'all's sitting down with me to talk about this. I know it was
Anytime. I love you very much, and I am very proud of you.
I love you.
We are very proud of you.
Well, thank y'all for coming on this very special episode of Behind the Sash and Talks from the Trenches. Until then, I will see y'all's later.